Cool. So, hi Neil. Thanks for your time today. How are you?
Pleasure to be here, Christian. Thank you for inviting me.
No worries. It's good to have you on. I know you're going to bring a lot of value to the audience today. And just for those guys who are watching, the theme of today is um, how to get good reviews for personal trainers. And essentially, off the back of that, what to do with them as well. So, Neil, just so everyone's on the same page, would you like to just run us through who you are, what you do, a little bit why you do what you do as well?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I run three businesses, um, and one of them is a consultancy for personal development and well-being experts. I also run a speaker agency as well, which is largely works with change makers, and I also run Total Wellness Club as well, a platform for wellness experts who want to actually build and grow their businesses without having to always be pushing their marketing. So it's much more of a pull strategy than a push. And I guess that's the topic really that we'll be talking about mostly today in the business that's most relevant to what we do. But I got started in this years ago because I had my own sort of health issues. I was once nearly 21 stone and obese.
Wow.
And I had knee problems, as you would expect, probably at that kind of weight with the pressure on the joints.
Yeah.
Also had a back problem as well, which would just kind of lock up and spasm. And it would take probably about 2 weeks from whenever that happened for me to get back into free movement again. And it would probably lock up again, usually within about 6 weeks again. So, and each time it happened, I would be pretty much flat on the floor for a good sort of half an hour, before my back would release, enough for me to be able to get up and then start to move. And it could take me anything up to 2 weeks, as I say, for that flow to come back and work again. I also had an undiagnosed allergy at the time as well. And to begin with, it just started with a little nosebleed in the morning, usually around sort of 5 o'clock in the morning. And over time, the nosebleed got worse, and then it started to happen more often. It would happen like 3 o'clock, and then it would happen at 1 o'clock. And as you can imagine, with a nosebleed, it doesn't just turn the tap off and stop, and then you can get back to sleep again. It was like 45 minutes, probably at least, before you get back to bed again, and then get back to sleep. So with this happening 3 times a night, I was losing an awful lot of sleep. And this all kind of happened 15 to 20 years ago. And the problem 15 or 20 years ago was we didn't have the volume of information that we've got today. Finding the answers to obesity and losing weight. You couldn't. Doctors never really been renowned for being able to give you that kind of information. It was the personal trainer, the gym that you would go to. And obviously you get exercise advice, and back in those days, occasionally nutritional advice as well. If you were trying to read and learn more about your body, you were restricted by what was on the shelves in the bookshop to whatever a publisher is deemed likely to be a best-selling book. Magazines were limited, TV channels were still relatively limited. So if you fast forward it to today, information isn't a problem. It's out there, it's everywhere. Everyone's got a blog, everyone's got a YouTube channel, everyone's got Facebook, Instagram, and everything else. Anyone can write an ebook and get published. So today the issue has changed. It's not now about information or inspiration. Today it's a different story. It's about trust and transparency. And this really is where my business Total Wellness fits into this. Just continuing the story just a little bit more, Christian. We built 7-figure back office, the consultancy, because we were aware that people in wellness needed more help to grow their business. And we began sort of helping a lot of businesses that were in startups, and we helped businesses get up to about 6 figures. Today, that business is largely run by my wife, Jo, and she is working with businesses that are 7 figures plus currently. and that literally, she's fully booked up until the end of the year with clients that she's working with. But what happened in 2014, we got so busy, so successful with that business. Everything flowed through Joe and I. We tried really hard to generate the team, to pass more work over to the team, but everything flowed through us. Every client wanted to talk to us, and eventually affected our health. I ended up with chronic fatigue, and Joe ended up breaking out in hives all down her arm because of the stress and the energy that we were putting into that business. So we had to do something to change things. And we said, well, look, if we started all over again, what would we do? And we said, well, we'd do something in health and wellness, and we'd probably build a business where there was a lot of automation involved in it, which would help people to grow and develop their business, but without us having to be quite as involved in it as we were before. So that's where Total Wellness Club came from. It came from our own health issues, but also an awareness in the market that we were shifting from, as I said, inspiration and information into trust and transparency. Because, and say, there's no shortage of information. The problem that people have these days is knowing who's trustworthy and who and what can make a difference in someone's life for their health and their wellness.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you sharing that. It's a very interesting backstory that I didn't know some of that as well. So it's good to know. And I think the key things that stand out there is the alliteration that you used for trust and transparency and information inspiration. That also sticks in my mind as soon as you said it. And I think like the burnout element that you were alluding to is something that a lot of people watching this will be able to relate to as well. And there's a lot of difficulty being able to replicate what you do into something more scalable by getting other people involved, because it's just not always the same. And we've had it with personal training where we try to pass on clients to another trainer. The client's like, oh, it's not the same, I want to come back to you. And it can be very difficult. It's almost like a success trap if you don't manage it properly.
Exactly. I mean, when talking about our consultancy, one of the businesses we're working with at the moment is a multi-million-pound business. It's got multiple team members in it who are involved in that coaching element, and it's really, really important for that business to process map and systematize as best they can to create that standard experience for a client. So yeah, it is a challenge.
Yeah. It's good. So how has that kind of led you into this bit? So obviously it's created the first point of you've got to do something about it. How has Total Wellness Club got to where it is since you started?
Yeah, so we began locally. I think it's a good way of considering building any business. For any personal trainer, even starting off, obviously your local market is the best place to go, because you get feedback, and you need to be in the feedback loop in the early days to find out what people really want, and also what people are really using and how they're using it. So the closer you can be to your market at launch, the better it is. I mean, we have seen people in the past who want to immediately jump into online programs. Yeah. I would say to people that's often too soon. So we built locally. We're based down in Somerset. So we built a network of Bristol, Bath, Taunton, and gradually have spiraled out so that we're across the UK. But as we did that, because the SEO on the website was really cool, we started to pick up people in other parts of the world, people in Australia, people in Mexico, people in the US, people in Canada, so it's what started off as, for us, we were aiming at just the UK market. We've actually just picked up people across the world as well. I'm not saying that there are hundreds of those, we've just picked up people anecdotally, if you like, through the efforts that we made. And one of the things with us as well, we're not just about reviews. We actually like to help people build their business as well. So a lot of what we do is obviously it's about credibility, and we're looking at how we help people to develop more of that as they become better at what they do, become better known, and then having those what we call marketing bling, if you like. The reviews are one thing, the star ratings are another, but we also help people win awards as well through volume of reviews. So the more reviews someone collects on the system, the more award wins they get. which are great really to use within their marketing. So people kind of love that. One of the things I've really enjoyed, Christian, is that people that we've worked with, seeing those people beginning their business and going, I'm not sure whether or not this can work, and actually seeing them grow in confidence over time, seeing those reviews coming in for them, and then seeing them use those reviews in their marketing to pull more people into them. And we're seeing people who are going from startups, people who have been in business and struggled for a while, now going on to do things like being fully booked or almost fully booked, or being oversubscribed, where they've got more clients than they can actually handle. And then they have to go through, as we mentioned a minute ago, that issue of how do I replicate me in this business?
Sure.
So it's been awesome watching people do that.
Yeah, no, I enjoy that as well, where you're able to help someone from start to the end. That's really what a lot of us are in this for. So it's to see that we're on the same page. So just to kind of cater for those who might not know, and it might sound obvious to a lot of people, but what are reviews essentially, and what makes a good review?
Yes, so I guess in essence, a review is a client story. A lot of people will be familiar with testimonials. They're things that people will talk about. And I would say testimonials really are kind of like a bit Web 2.0. They're old these days. They're useful. If you can't get it, you can't have anything else other than a testimonial, I would use a testimonial. But these days, reviews are so important. A couple of reasons for that is that they're live and they're real and they're raw. People expect to see them on websites these days. People trust them. And one of the stats that we've picked up is that 26% of people will click away from a website if a review is not in place on that website. They won't buy from that person if a review is not in place, because people are expecting to see it. And I would say that this is even more true of millennials than any other generation. Millennials are the biggest buyers in the market at the moment. And the reason is that they've grown up with this. They've grown up with it, since they, were able to use a phone or get online. They've been seeing, reviews in various places like Amazon, eBay, Airbnb, TripAdvisor, Trustpilot, another review option, and Total Wellness Club as well. We came into the health and wellness space in 2014, 2015. So people are used to seeing sort of reviews, and they expect to see them. So the other part of the question was, what makes a good review?
Yeah.
So what would make a really good review is if you could get a client to say what their problem was before they worked with you. What was that condition or pain point? And then what they wanted from you in terms of here's what the pain point was, and here's what it was causing me in my life. If you could get that kind of story, you get the backstory. If you can then get the client to say that you sold them for them, actually name you at that point, that's even better.
Yeah.
It's like Christian really helped me with, that's awesome. And then if they could say, how they solved that problem and, where their life is right now, that is really nice, because it gives you that ongoing story. And now we can see where they came from to where they are. Average sort of number of words is around about 83. We've calculated, so you're looking for quite short sound bites almost from clients as well. You don't want massive pieces of text, because people don't generally read all of that. If you could get it into a really nice tight paragraph, then that actually would form the best sort of review.
Okay, that's interesting. It's good to know the word count as well. That's something new. And what about video reviews? Because they've become a lot more popular in recent times.
Yeah, I like video reviews. I think what's really cool with them is when people leave reviews on our system, they could actually put into that, they can put their image into that as well. And where you've got an image, it's just more believable, isn't it? You've got a name and you've now got an image. There's something about that that says credibility. And like a video is nice as well, because, you know, people can tell their story in that. But like a testimonial, I think we all know that testimonials can be edited and videos can be edited as well. So that's the downside of it. And we know that, let's say if you want to market something, that you can edit that video to tell the story that you want to tell. And also you could edit the testimonial to tell the story you want to tell. And this is where reviews are different, because they're not edited. They're left on a third-party website, so like Total Wellness Club or Google, something like that, and they're unedited. And people know they're unedited, and they have a higher trust factor than any other type of review.
I think that's a good point, because there's a lot of companies like our competitors, not going to name names, but I know historically that they faked reviews and people have caught onto it. Yeah. And sometimes they look better than they are just because of what they've been doing. So how do you potentially spot that if you're someone who's looking for a product or a service, because you may not be able to distinguish the difference between a genuine review and one that's been cleverly faked?
Yeah. So as a user, you know, I think sometimes you can actually spot them just by the way that they're worded. You know, if they seem to be loving the person, the product, the author or whatever too much, you know, or giving you more information, it's like, I see this sometimes with Amazon book reviews. It's like, it looks like it should be a review. It seems like it looks like a review, but actually when I read it, it seems more of an endorsement than a review. So sometimes we can just pick it up as a gut feel. On our system, we ask people to verify their review. And in order for that to happen, we have to have their email address. And when they've left a review, it scrolls through to another page where they actually have to click another button that says verified review. And that shows up on our platform as a verified review. So that's one of the ways that we check. And obviously with the email piece as well, we're aware when someone leaves an email. And also the other thing we do is a little check. Once a month, we will select someone who has left a review on our platform and we will contact them. And when we contact them, we will actually ship them a box of vegan chocolates as a thank you for leaving a review. But it's a double check for us as well. Yes, it's nice to do a bit of surprise and delight for that client. It builds a relationship between them and the person that they left a review for. But also for us, it's another verification. It's like we know that person is now leaving real, genuine reviews. So it's a double check.
Yeah, absolutely. Makes sense. And why would you say reviews are essential for personal trainers or anyone in the fitness sphere?
Yeah, so I think that reviews, if anyone has a business, I would say reviews are essential these days, as I said, because people are expecting it. You know, I think since 1995, Amazon launched in 95, and they immediately began using reviews because they understood that trust would be an issue for people buying online. eBay followed suit. We had like TripAdvisor, Airbnb, Uber, all of these companies, and then say Total Wellness kind of came into the well-being space. What it does, Christian, is it builds proof that you are good at what you do. And it's not you claiming it and saying, I'm brilliant at what I do. It's your clients saying what you do, how you do it, sharing the experience they've had, using words and saying things that you cannot say about yourself. So there's that level of proof. There's also credibility that goes with that. You know, when you have collected 5, 10, 50, 100 reviews, there starts to become an overwhelming proof in you as an individual personal trainer that you are the one to go to. And if you are the one or one of the top people in your town for collecting reviews, you will differentiate yourself from everybody else in that town. Because if you imagine, I've got the opportunity to go and work with 2 people. One of them has 10 reviews or 50 reviews. The other one has nothing. Who am I going to go to? I'm going to look at the one with reviews and I'm going to read the reviews. They've taken the time to collect the reviews and give me the proof and the evidence that I need as a buyer. Because if I'm reading through their information, I'm going, yeah, this looks good. Next thing is, but can they deliver? Will they give me the result I'm looking for? And then here are 10 or 50 reviews that I can now read, and I can get some idea of the experience I'm going to get. I'm going to work with this person. The other thing that we do to help with credibility is we give awards. So awards are fantastic because you can use them in your PR, but you can also use them in your profiles online. You know, to be able to say, I'm an award-winning coach or personal trainer, to put that into your Twitter about, into your Facebook about, onto your website about. Do you see what I mean? It just, you know, now when people are looking, it's like award-winning personal trainer. That stands out, doesn't it? You know, so that's one of the ways that you can use reviews to up your game in your marketing. Because again, if you're faced with working with somebody who has no reviews, no awards, and you've got someone who has awards, has reviews, it becomes a no-brainer. You know, to know that this person got overwhelming proof that they can deliver. You know, I'm going to go with them every time.
Makes sense, and it's good insight. I would just have a question just to kind of fill a bit of a gap there. How would somebody who's new, who hasn't got that established client base yet, kind of bridge those steps in between, because they're obviously not able to get reviews because they're not at that stage? What can they do to kind of not mitigate, but how do they get from B to D, if that makes sense?
That's a brilliant question, and it's one I get asked quite a lot. So what I would do is you have to start where you're at. You know, you have to start with the first one, and this is the thing, isn't it? You always, it's this first one, and then it's the next one, and then it's the next one, and you build it over time. You know, we've got people on our platform who have, you know, 50 to 100 reviews, but they've gained them over 6 or 7 years. It's steady. They're asking people regularly for reviews. So I would say just start off with where you are and just know that it's going to build over time, and that credibility will come over time, and you know, it will become easier to use reviews and get clients over time as well. I think the thing I would do if I was in your shoes and doing this, I would I think, you know, maybe if I was starting off, I would find some people that I could work with very quickly, and you know, say to them, you know, either free or discounted rate or however it works, to work with them, and say to them as part of that, you would like them to leave a review for you at the end of, you know, a series of sessions with you, so that you could get your first ones on the board. That would be one way that people could do it. But ultimately, you know, we're looking for you to get a track record over time with paying clients, but that would be a quick way of doing it. And then you can of course over time just collect the other reviews, just keep asking.
Cool. And this is something that's a little bit tricky for some people. How do you ask for a review in the right way?
Yeah. Okay. So what I would say with this is, first and foremost, just decide for you when you're going to ask for a review. And because this is a really important thing. It's when in your process is it going to be appropriate to ask that client? Is it right at the end? You know, if they book 10 sessions with you, is it at the end of session 10? Or is it at the end of session 8, so that you can nag them for a couple of weeks to leave it? Because some people forget. So, and, you know, are you actually asking personally, or are you automating this through a system? You know, as a business grows, sometimes you need to put the systems in place that actually take care of things for you. But you need to decide, that's the first thing, decide when in your process you're going to do it. And then do it as a course of action. You know, no excuses, none of this, oh, I think this client will, or I think this client won't. No, it's session 8, I'm going to ask. And then you just say to a client, look, I want to ask you if you wouldn't mind leaving a review for me. It really helps other people see how my work benefits or could benefit them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pop you a message with a link in it. If you wouldn't mind just clicking on that link and just telling people the experience you've had in working with me. Then send that message. Now, that message could be sent by email, it could be sent by WhatsApp, Facebook chat, whatever method works between you and your clients. I know that some sort of personal trainers work with email and some work in some other way like WhatsApp. So it's entirely up to you how you work it. But again, know what that process is going to be. We give people templates, our members who join us. we'll give them a template email, and obviously they can crib that, make it their own, and send it by whatever method they want to send it by. But that's an email that's been proven to work best over time. So first thing is decide when. Second thing is decide what platform you're going to do it. And then third thing is how you're going to actually ask for that, and then make sure that happens.
Yeah, and I think you answered that really well. That's give a lot of clarity. So thanks for that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So with the reviews in general, what do you think is a minimum number that people need to be getting? And the second part is it got more meat on the bone with the number of reviews, or is it more about what's written in the review?
I think it's interesting because you've got people look at different things when they look at reviews. So on our platform, for example, yes, you can read every review that's left. The other thing that it shows is it shows the average star rating. So, you know, whether that's a 3, a 4, or a 5, it will show that up. You know, most people on our platform are getting sort of 4+. Very rarely do we get negative reviews left. But most people are getting, say, 4 or 5. So people can see the average score. Then next to it, it shows the number of reviews that have been collected in order to get it. Now, people who use reviews know what they're looking for. And obviously it tells different stories. You know, if you have 10 reviews and they're all 5-star, that's great. It's better than somebody who has none. Obviously, if you've got 50 reviews, that's even better than someone who has 10, because, you know, you can see that average score has been held over a longer number of reviews. The other thing, how often, is a really good question, actually, because what other people will look for as they're coming onto a platform with reviews is they'll look at when the last review was left. And if the last review was, let's say, left 6 months, 12 months ago, question that people are going to have then is, well, is this person still in business? So there's a need to stay current with reviews. So I would say on any platform that you're collecting reviews, you probably want to make sure that you've got a review that's been left on there in the last month, if you possibly can, because it just shows you're still in business, you're still active, and it keeps adding, obviously, new people to you over time.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Recent shows that you're still there.
Yeah.
Still good at what you're doing as well. You're still interested.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And with bad reviews, now this is just something that I've contemplated for a while. Is a company that has 100 5-star reviews and no negative reviews less trustworthy than someone who leaves their negative reviews on there and deals with them?
I like the second version of that, Christian. I'll tell you why. Yes, it's credible and it's real, isn't it? Because this happens sometimes. And what I say to people is, don't worry about the negative review. Don't worry about that at all. And I'll tell you why, because it puts everything else in perspective. If you're reading through and you see suddenly there's a 2-star review that's been left, as a personal trainer, you would probably go, oh no, what happened? I'm really sorry that this person's left that. But actually, there's a positive side to this, because if you have got review after review that's absolutely fantastic, great, you're doing a good job. But now you've got this negative review, it makes all of those others even better than they were before. And if you deal with it, if you can, show publicly that you're dealing with that, it's like, I'm sorry to hear that. Here's what we could do to help you. If you can show that, then that actually just adds something else that's even better, because it shows that not only has this person been unhappy, but you've actually tried to resolve it and fix it.
Yes. And I think it does come across more genuine.
Yeah.
And I think also how people reply to the feedback is like, thank you for your feedback. We'll take this on board. This is what we're going to do about it. Goes a lot more of a long way than someone is saying, oh, thanks, but we don't really care.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree with you.
Because I think sometimes everyone's all about, oh, I'll get all my reviews that are bad taken off. And I look at companies and sometimes go, it's very rare that someone's a 5-star on across the board all the time for years and years. And someone like myself was a bit more sees between the lines, reads that and goes, I don't trust them. because no one's that perfect.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think that you can also use this as a company, because you can actually see how well you're delivering or not. So for a company that's got a lot of people coming through it or selling a lot of product, you can actually use that to see how well you're delivering on your customer service. Because clients won't lie when they're leaving reviews. If they're unhappy, they're going to say they're unhappy, and that's an opportunity for you. It's an opportunity for the leadership in that business to go, okay, what's happening here? What do we need to do? Who do we need to change? Who do we need to train? Who do we need to, how do we change this level of performance within the company? So for a company, it's great feedback. Again, with another business we're looking at the moment, they've got a lot of coaches involved in that business, and we're saying to that business, well, if you put all of your coaches' reviews onto the platform, we can actually start to see which of your coaches are really delivering against your standards and which ones aren't, and then you can go and address that.
Yeah, it gives you critical feedback that's not one-sided as well.
Yeah.
Because we all have blind spots. We think we're great, and we might be generally, but there'll be areas that we don't see. Someone picks it up, and my attitude to that is, "Oh, thanks for that. I wasn't even aware of that. Now you've pointed out to me, I can do something about it."
Yeah.
And sometimes our best clients, our long-term clients, are the ones that complain a little bit at the beginning, because if you do something to resolve it, you're actually creating more buy-in, because you're actually showing that you care about what they think. And I think people miss that part sometimes.
Yeah, I think when you actually, sometimes it can be picking up the phone and just saying, I want to understand what's happened. That can be a huge opportunity. And to be able to say, look, as painful as this is to hear, I need to hear this, and thank you for sharing that with me. And what could I do for you to resolve this? Gold, in terms of your relationship with that client. And if I've in the past where we've had complaints, we've been able to do something nice for a client, and they become quite loyal sometimes after that, because it's a rare experience these days. When everything is done behind chatbots and things like that, and very impersonal, to have those people who go that extra mile to understand it does make a huge difference.
Yeah, and I think a lot of trainers in particular aren't necessarily aware of that, and they don't know how to ask the question as well. It's sometimes, someone's written a bad review, and then they're effing and blinding about the client instead of realizing, hang on, there might actually be some truth in this.
Well, there usually is. I mean, okay, you can't help everybody, and occasionally you will get somebody who you just cannot help. It doesn't matter what you do, but at least, within yourself, if you feel that I've done what I could to resolve and help this person, there's nothing more than, I don't think anybody could probably do that, because there are people out there in the market, aren't there, who will just go and complain from one person to the next. There's nothing you can do about those people.
Yeah, and it's difficult, because we had one in a former business where he gave us a 1-star review, but then it was on Google and it said something like 86 reviews, and then whoever was in charge of marketing at the time just went, "Thanks for your feedback, but whoever's looking at this, go and look at the other reviews." And he put 1-star reviews on 86 things. And it was just a bit like, well, it's not credible anymore, is it? Because you're just going around and deliberately leaving bad reviews.
Yeah. I know, it doesn't help people, it doesn't help the world.
I think when people understand what to look for, they can go, oh, this person is just a negative person. There's nothing you can do about it.
This is the other thing, because I think we can see through it. I know, well, my wife, for example, she when she's buying on Amazon, she'll go, okay, she'll look through the reviews and she'll go, okay, what's worst case scenario? So she'll find the worst review, she'll read the worst review, and then she'll scroll back up and she'll have a look at some of the other reviews within it. And then go, okay, I know what's the worst case scenario. Can I handle it? Yep, because everything else looks good and it's the products I want to get. And, it's got, 4.5 stars over, X hundred or 1,000 people. I'm going to get this because there's only this one, and this is what they've said. I had the same experience, actually. We were looking to go out for dinner one evening, and I was reading the reviews on this local restaurant. And it said that review after review was like, service is slow. And then there was one review that said, I think they're training a new waitress. was like, oh, okay, that explains the slow service. But when people spoke about the food in that restaurant, they all said how fantastic it was. I'm swallowing while I'm talking about it because I've just got a memory of that, Christian. So what the decision I was able to make was, if I can wait if it took an extra 45 minutes, would it matter? Because they're training somebody? Well, no, actually it wouldn't, because I'd be going for the experience and I want to eat the good food. I'm happy with that. So you can make an informed decision based on what you're reading.
Yeah, I think context is the king, and when people don't have the context, it's easy to make black and white assumptions.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's all good. I really like the info so far. So thanks for that again. And tell us a little bit more about Total Wellness, and for the potential, or not the potential, but the audience that's watching this, what can you potentially do for them if they needed help?
So with Total Wellness Club, first and foremost, it's about getting on board, setting yourself up a profile, collecting reviews on that profile. People who work with us and become professional members will look at that profile. We will look at it from an SEO point of view. We'll also look at it from a sales point of view, and we'll help you to optimize that profile. And for some people, that might be an insight into copywriting and SEO that they've never had before, which will inform them in terms of when they're building their own websites, and also writing their own sales copy. And my background, I am actually a copywriter by trade, so I do kind of actually know what I'm looking for in terms of the profiles and how they're written and structured. We've got videos that show you when you register with us, that show you what we're looking for in terms of a really good solid profile. So in terms of that, I mean, we've got massive amounts of opportunities for people in terms of what they can learn within their business. We've got, I think we've probably got the best part of 50, 60 videos that look at business from different angles. I often talk about the sales aspects within a business. Joe would talk about the operations side of the business. Also, my branding manager comes in and talks about brand and personal brands, product brands, things you need to think about for your branding. So we talk about things from various angles. And there's videos available within our membership when you've joined, and our resources section, but we've also got a load of videos as well that are hosted in our Facebook group. So when you join, we can ping you across to that, and you can find all of those resources in our guide section in there. So there's loads of trainings. And obviously what we're encouraging people to do is to collect reviews and then win awards. And then we're showing people how to use those reviews, how to use those awards in their marketing as more of a pull strategy than, to get people to come to you and attract towards you, as opposed to you pushing your marketing and then people going, oh, I'm a bit sick of this, because all they're doing is talking about their latest offer and their latest discount or whatever. So we were actually helping people work in that way. The other thing we're looking at developing going forward, more of a marketplace within the website, so that there's a clear and obvious place when someone comes onto the platform where there will be sort of offers and things that are, best-selling coaches, best-selling personal trainers, best-selling products in certain niche areas. So that's to come down the line and in the future. And we've also got a YouTube channel where from time to time we'll interview people who have got a really unique topic, and we'll interview them. And once that's been interviewed and put out on YouTube, it's all SEO'd, it creates a trickle of traffic back into that person's profile. And we'll use that video even on that profile so that people can get an insight into that individual, their methodology, and also them as a person, so that people can get their energy on video.
Yeah, and I think it's a really nice way of building that trust and connection as well, especially with the digital age, where it's a lot more convenient to do a call like this and record it, as opposed to having to travel 4 hours somewhere and then come back. So I think efficiency and speed is key. So that's awesome. So who's your ideal client? So if there's anyone watching this and it's going to resonate with them, who are they and how do they contact you?
Well, first and foremost, we work with people who are in health and wellness, personal development. They're our ideal clients. They can be startups, as we've mentioned before, you know, getting started and building your business from scratch and getting those first reviews on is really key. But as a business grows, there's other things that we can do for somebody. You know, the way that I look at this is that if somebody comes into Total Wellness Club and they start building that proof and credibility, they don't really have to deal with a lot of those issues like imposter syndrome, like who am I to do this or say this? The next thing we can help people do through our speaker agency, we have like a training program that anyone who, you know, has done really well as a personal trainer, for example, or in health and wellness, and they want to take that onto a bigger stage, we can actually help train them in terms of developing their assets as a speaker so that they're taken more seriously. And then beyond that, as a business grows, we've also got that option as well to help them through our consultancy, because as the business grows, often things break in it and need fixing and we have to shift gears, you know, and it helps businesses do that. So that's another option as well. But in terms of getting hold of me, if people wanted to get started with Total Wellness Club and collecting reviews, if they went to business.totalwellness.club, so business.totalwellness.club, you could get started there. The one I would recommend is the professional package, but there's also a free package on there as well if someone wanted to just get used to us and get started in that way. Otherwise, if you want to find me, come and find me on LinkedIn. You just find me on there as Neil Fellows. I do a lot of my sort of like business connecting through LinkedIn. So if you want to connect with me, if you've got any questions, just come and find me on there and fire them at me through LinkedIn and I'll get back to you. Awesome.
Thanks very much. And just to kind of wrap this up, if you could give us 3 key takeaways from today, what would they be? Short and snappy.
I think it would be, you know, around what I said around reviews. I think it would be decide when in your process you're going to ask for a review. Make it mandatory in your mind, a habit. Decide what that message is going to be when you ask for the review, and then do it consistently. That would be the 3 takeaways I would say.
Yeah, consistency is king, because we can be good when we want to be, but it's about being good when we don't feel like it. So, yeah, awesome.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, great stuff. I think we've covered quite a lot of useful things. I mean, we've only just touched upon, we barely touched the sides, but I think it's given people a bit of an all-rounded idea of why it's important, how they can start to go about things, and they know where to go and who to go to if they need a bit of expert help.
Pleasure, Christian. Thank you for inviting me to come and talk to all your wonderful people that you've been working with. Appreciate
no worries. That. And hopefully you'll be able to work with some of them as well and add some more value, as you always do.
Certainly would love that.
Excellent. All right. Thanks very much, Neil. And I'll see you soon.
My pleasure. Thanks, Christian.